Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I am your host, Kim Wannop. How are you doing? I am fresh back from Italy, so I'm pretty good. I'm exhausted, but I'm pretty good. Traveling is so inspiring, whether it's the architecture, the fashion. I saw so many churches, but the architecture and the art and introducing my children to the art of the world was just an amazing thing. And it was just kind of a trip of a lifetime. Rome, Venice, Florence, Bologna, Rocca di Mezzo, if anybody knows that little town, but fantastic. A little hot in Florence. Got a little sweaty there, but I took a million pictures. Of course, every picture is so perfect in Italy. I don't know what it is. It's just the food making you're drunk. I don't know what's going on, but I had a great time, and it's an influence to travel and to see art, like I said, and I remember all of these paintings and sculptures that I studied in college, and it just brings back so many memories of the greats. And I really just want to do nothing and just read art books right now is all I want to do. But I'm back, and I know that you have been listening to this podcast for hopefully your Emmy nomination voting. Last week we had Heidi Miller from the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and the previous week we had Kalina Ivanov from the Penguin, and so many in the past months, The Studio and Severance and all those goodies in the past months. So I hope that you'll take a listen before casting your vote. And please check out the work on the YouTube channel, Decorating Pages, where you can see all the sets that we're talking about. Yes. And honestly, I don't know why anybody listens to the podcast anymore and don't just watch the videos, because then you can see what we're doing. I don't know. But hey, don't stop listening. I'm not saying that. Let's talk about some awards. The SDSA awards were announced while I was away, so let's get into them and do some little congratulations. For 1 Hour Contemporary, the winner was Severance. Congratulations. For 1 Hour Fantasy, the winner was The Last of Us Season 2. For 1 Hour Period, the winner was 1923. Bravo. For television, movie, or limited series, The Lady in the Lake. For half-hour single camera, it was The Studio. For half-hour multicam, Mid-Century Modern. For short form, web series, music video, or commercial, Sabrina Carpenter. Very nice. And then for variety, reality or competition series, Saturday Night Live. For design of a daytime series, The Young and the Restless. So bravo to all the winners of the SDSA Awards. And you can check out their announcement video on their YouTube channel. So don't forget to do that. Now, I did a lot of episodes before I left. I did 3 before I left to leave you with. So in that time, although I've been traveling, I have watched a bunch of TV. I must say, a lot. I binged The Pit on the plane. Nina Rusko and Matt Callahan, set decorator. Bravo. The Pit is basically ER. It's a day in the life of an emergency room and the doctors and the nurses and all the patients. And I think it's a pretty great concept of, they go with hour by hour. They start their shift and they're 12 hours and then it extends a little bit. I loved ER. I loved Noah Wyle. John Carter was just my favorite. And I know he's not playing John Carter, but I just think it's John Carter. So that's why I was enthralled with the series. The tempo is great. The sets are great. The props are great. The medical pieces and incisions and the skin and the fake stuff all looks, pretty good, I must say. So bravo to the team on The Pit. On the plane, I watched Becoming Led Zeppelin, about the formation of the band Led Zeppelin. If you're a music fan, watch it, and watch it in headphones. I was jamming out on the plane, listening and watching Becoming Led Zeppelin. I just thought it was pretty good. One movie I caught before I left. Well, I caught a couple, but one or two to talk about. Opus, production designer Robert Pizzoca and set decorator Marcia Colascio. Um, it's like reporters get invited to a cult. Who is this? It's a singer, and everyone's following this singer, and he has this following, and they're kind of diving in to see what it's all about. It was okay. The sets of this compound are pretty interesting, and how the simplicity is there, but it's very rich, like very modern. And then the sets are good. The movie was, I don't know. It was kind of predictable to me. I think, I don't know. I didn't love it, but Opus, I believe it's on HBO Max. And Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore 2. Production designer Perry Blake and set decorator George DeTata Jr. Bravo. How nostalgic can you be? I mean, they had so many throwbacks to the first film, and the sets are fun and appropriate, and a lot of golfing, and it's just a fun movie. If you were into Happy Gilmore, it's not stupid. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, they really dumbed this down, or this comedy doesn't work anymore. It kind of like makes you appreciate that comedy, and it's a good time. I don't know. I would go for it. Happy Gilmore 2 is on Netflix. So yeah, I've got like 5 other things, but I'm going to save them for the other episodes of what Wannop's watching, because I first want to say thank you. Thank you again to everyone who listens. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go over and do it. There's a lot of work over there to be seen of everyone's sets, and it's just, it's been a great experience for me to put that all together and make this podcast visual, because that's all I ever really wanted was for it to be visual, and it took me a while to get there, but I'm very proud of the videos we put together. I also put a lot of little clips of the videos on Instagram and TikTok, so if you're not following Decorating Pages, please like and follow and rate and whatever you got to do, because it helps and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Everyone who is purchasing the Set Decorating Masterclass, thank you so much. I have gotten so much great feedback of an appreciation of the breakdowns that I have done of budgeting, how to hire a crew, how to get hired, how all the little branches of the art department, describing what everybody's position does. So that took a lot to put together, but I'm so happy that people are listening to it and hoping that it helps. And if there's ever any questions, you can email me. So yeah. And if you purchase it, you get the Set Decorator quick reference template that I made up, which is like how your place settings go, what size rugs to use in our living room, mattress sizes, drapery measurements. I mean, I did it all. So yes, please, it's a free gift to you just for signing up over on the website, decoratingpages.com. Okay, in this episode, I start chatting with production designer Alison Gartshore, who has some jaw-dropping sets on the last season of Bridgerton. Alison started as the art director in season 1 and is now the production designer for season 3. And she talks about some of the behind the scenes of the show's most incredible sets this season. I was blown away. We get into everything from her designing inspirations to the clever ways sets are transformed and reused. That's something we all deal with, so it was great to hear her talk about it. And some of the gorgeous botanical and butterfly balls that she puts together for the queen. I mean, how fun. I binged this season to talk to her, and I was just blown away about how much detail and color and ornate detail they have in their sets. They are nominated for production design in period and fantasy. Don't forget to vote. Alison also talks about her color choices, bringing the whole world together in Bridgerton, the fake florals, and what it's really like to collaborate with the costume designers and hair and makeup and prop team and everything for this wonderful series. It's fun. So if you love Bridgerton, you are going to love this episode. She gives it all away, and she's got a great accent. And you know how I love to talk to people with accents. So thank you to her for coming along, and I hope you enjoy. So you're on holiday. So have you done season 4?
We've just finished filming season 4. Yeah.
Oh wow, how exciting! Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Oh, bigger than that. I love to watch shows and just try to like, okay, there's and the set count, and I'm like, I lost count. They got too many sets. I can't. I lose count of how many.
Yeah, yeah. We have at our studios we've got 3 stages of standing sets. I don't know how many sets there are there. There's we're talking like 30 sets or so, I would imagine, and they get repurposed for different spaces as well as and when we need. So within an episode we might need a drawing room for one character, and then it has to become something else and then turn back again for the next time we need it. So we do a lot of that.
Yeah, I'd imagine too, if you don't have the stage space or the money, when you turning sets around might cause a lot of panic for decorators and everyone to like get it done, but it does help budget wise and space wise with your stage space and everything you have.
Yeah, we just have to. I mean, there wouldn't be a studio big enough really to accommodate everything that we need. So, and budgetary wise, once you've got the shell of the set built, you can repurpose it as many times as you want. So it just makes financial sense to do that.
Did you come on season 1 or season 2?
So I started on season 1 as a stages art director.
Yes.
And I art directed season 1 and 2 for the stages. And then season 3, I became the designer when our previous designer didn't want to carry on.
Yeah. It's I always feel like when the art director takes over the project, it's something very special because the art director is involved in so much in the construction and the sets and everything, and then taking over the project is such a like celebration of like, now I get to design, now I'm designing what I was helping coordinate before. It's always a great thing, and it's always great to have someone who's familiar, who has been there, to take over the show. So
yeah,
yeah,
especially on a show like ours, it's so busy.
yeah,
And there's just never enough time to really, you have to shortcut lots of things. And so because I already had done the research for season 1, so when we started building the sets, I spent weeks researching the architecture and the style of the period and the color palettes. So I had all of that in my back pocket anyway.
nice.
And because we all helped to put the looks together, it wasn't, when I came to design it myself, it wasn't a question of wanting to change the world particularly, because it was a successful world that we'd created anyway. So it was more a question of just sort of, you can't help but put your own spin on things, I think, as a natural thing that happens with all designers. You all have a bit of a signature look, I think, and it comes out whether you want to or not.
There's and as a decorator who's taken over many shows, there's always a respect that you carrying on the thread of the look and everything, and then like you said, making it your own. So I'm
absolutely
with you on that. I've taken over many shows.
Uh-huh.
This floral piece that you constructed in one of the balls, and the episode that's submitted for the Emmys is something Mr. Bridgerton. I think it's episode 5, I think it is. But this construction of this like music box kind of that I know I don't know the correct word, but it opens up into this magnificent floral arrangement in the middle of the room. Did you have that in your back pocket that you'd been dying to use for years? Because that looks like something like, ooh, I'm holding on to this jewel.
No, no, no. That was so our showrunner, Jess Brownwell, she had originally wanted that ball. We're talking about the Mondrick's Botanical Ball, and she had originally had a theme of butterflies for that ball. But then actually we realised, or she realised, she called me just a few weeks before we were starting to put that ball together. She phoned up and she said, "Oh my goodness, I've changed my mind. I have to save the butterfly ball for the final ball, for
Yeah.
Penelope's coming out, revealing who she is, and so we have to think of a different theme for this ball." And she said, "I need a moment of magic." And she had an idea of some kind of a pop-up garden, was
Mm.
what was in her mind. And so we had a conversation, and we had very, very little time to pull this out of the bag, a matter of a few weeks. And I did a lot of research into pop-up technology very quickly. And myself and the supervising art director, Ant Cartilage, we sort of came up with the overall shape had to be what it was, what it ended up being, in order for it to unfold into a flower shape at the end, which we thought was rather lovely,
Oh, yeah.
a nice thing to do from a top shot point of view. So we knew that the overall shape had to be what it was, and then it was a question of reverse engineering what we needed the box to do,
Mm.
which, being Bridgerton, there's a certain amount of leeway in what we can and can't do, but we do always try and remain within what would be technically correct for the period. So we knew that clockwork technology existed, so it had to be something that looked like it could be clockwork. It had to be something that could be created out of wood and paint. And so I looked at all sorts of different pop-up shapes and what could happen as this thing unfolded. Um, but it became very apparent very quickly it had to be something incredibly simple, what was inside the box. And so I looked at almost like Christmas decoration technology, those
Mm.
folded fans that
The
open
snowflake.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And it was just an inspired moment, I think, where I just suddenly thought, oh, that would work, because there were a lot of technical difficulties to overcome. For example, for getting the leaves to all open at the
Yeah.
same time required a huge amount of engineering in the base. It was all geared. And in order to fit the paper leaves inside, they had to be thick enough and strong enough so that they didn't rip under their own weight as they unfolded.
Right.
And also, but small enough to fit inside the top of the box, which gets very narrow at the top end. So slowly by slowly, we kind of picked apart the problems and solved them, and we ended up with what we had, which I think worked really well. I
Oh,
was so pleased with it. It was beautiful.
it's gorgeous. And thinking of at the time, if people were seeing this, it would have been like magical. It would have been
Yeah,
unbelievable. I mean, it's
it
something
would.
constructed and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, but actually, the Georgians, they if you research what they did for their balls and their events, they were unbelievably inventive. And actually, people think that we go over the top with what we do for Bridgerton, but we don't touch the sides of what they did. They would put on whole park spectaculars, which were enormous feats of engineering, and they're fascinating. They threw money at an event like I think no other sort of time period really,
Oh my God.
because they had a certain amount of technology and playfulness, and they had the means. They were very, very rich, the top echelons of the Georgian society, so they had the means to throw money at these spectacles that they all used to love to go to.
I was thinking when I was watching it, and well, I've watched it and then I re-watched for to talk to you and like, damn, I wish I lived back then, just going to a ball every week and just getting a new dress and cool hair and like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But this ball in
Yeah.
particular is gorgeous. And then the paintings of all the botanical and flowers on the wall that you had to do, are those all hand
Mm.
painted? Are they decal?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
So we had our in-house illustrator, very talented artist, who illustrated all of the botanicals for the set.
Wow.
So all the panels in the wooden panels were all hand illustrated, actually on the iPad.
Mm.
And then we replicated and printed and pasted. And then for the internals of the pop-out garden, we made up we used the same illustrations, but putting them together in a different format to make a sort of almost like a bouquet spray for each leaf that unfolded.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, this is going back 2 or 3 years now when we were putting this all together. So
Right.
give me,
Sorry.
I can't remember all the
Yeah.
flowers that we used, but all the flowers had a special meaning, which I felt were pertinent to Will and Alice's marriage and relationship. So we
Mm.
had roses for love, tulips for, I think, was it honesty? I can't remember now, but the
There's
language
a
of
whole language
flowers.
of flowers and what's
Yeah,
in someone's wedding bouquet and everything. It's a fascinating,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's a whole arena.
But I can't
Yeah.
remember any either. So.
I can remember the flowers, but I just don't remember what they stand for anymore. Sentiments such as love and honesty and um, strength, I think, was one of them. So it was all traits which I felt were very reflective of their personal story and relationship.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think all the time about the floral budget. I mean, I love florals. I love real flower. I love that. And when I think like every ball and then the rooms and everything, I always think of like even like, if they're not real or whatever, it's still a lot. It's a lot. Like I can imagine there's probably we must have like a whole warehouse just of florals to pick
We
from at
do.
this point.
We do. It's not a warehouse, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we use florals an awful lot on Bridgerton.
Yeah.
They're such an integral part, and we have some really talented florists who we
Yeah.
commission to do the work for us once we've come up with the concept, which is through conversation with our showrunners, directors, and Shondaland executives.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, once we've got the concept and we give the brief to the florists and they come back with samples, we have to use faux florals for most of them,
Yeah.
simply that will last the course of the filming, under the hot studio conditions. But these days you can get some amazing
Oh,
faux florals
they're
that
so
look
good.
almost identical to
Yeah.
the real thing.
They're so good
Um,
now. They look wet, they have texture to them, they feel like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And they
I
have a delicacy which you really would not be able to tell apart from, unless we always use real florals if we're doing a handheld bouquet, for example, for a wedding, then it
totally,
would be real. Or if something's going to be, we know it's going to be an extreme close up in the shot, then we would use real as well. But we do have a big department full of plastic boxes stacked with all the florals because we reuse them time and time again,
yeah.
very mindful of the sustainability. Obviously, it is all plastic, and so we make sure that the flower heads are put back onto the stalks and can be repurposed again and again. Yeah.
Um, I want to get to this set, which is I think my favorite of the whole season. But did you during the season have a transition of color palette or a transition in textures or anything to go along with the story? Because the story really comes to ahead in this season. I mean, it's a very important season.
Mm. Well, the color theory for Bridgerton, it's usually we have a color for a particular family
Mm.
because the sets swap and change so often with the action. So it was designed in the first place so that we always know we're in the Bridgerton home. If it's blues and mushrooms and that very delicate Wedgwood blue that is the classic, iconic Bridgerton color,
Mhm.
very calm colors. And then for the Featheringtons, it's always the acids that Lady Featherington favors, her bright greens and oranges and lemons and yellows. So for the story of Penelope and Colin comes back from his travels through Europe, the grand tour that he's been on. And so we felt, he comes back as a more of a sort of a swashbuckling, sort of a pirate influence. We knew that costume were giving him a dash of pirate in his
Yeah.
costuming. So we sort of wanted to reflect a stronger color palette for him because he's gone off, done his grand tour, he's come back. He's more of a self-assured man, really. So we chose a particularly strong dark blue for him, and married it with the sort of the yellow ochres that were a hint of Featherington. So the color sort of develops through those scenarios. And which set was your favorite? Were you
Well,
referring to?
I really like his study. I really like his study, and I went off of like his apartment.
Yeah.
I like this. It's shot a little darker too. I mean, even the stills are a little darker, but it is kind of like I couldn't tell what is on this back wall here. If it's shells, is it shells that he's found in his travels? That was my guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we decorated his apartments with a range of things in the alcoves either side of the fireplace. We had a range of samples of rocks and shells that he might have picked up on his travels.
Hmm.
Something that they used to do when they went on the grand tour. They would pick up, all sorts of bits and pieces to show that they'd been to all these amazing places, because travel back then was not the normal thing to do. You could only do it if you were very, very rich in the top
Right.
echelons of society. And even then, usually only the men went off and travelled. The ladies were left at home. So it was a really special thing to be able to do, very privileged. And so people would bring back souvenirs, basically, and it could be in the form of Roman and Greek artifacts. Were often very much favoured. You think of Sir John Soames's museum, his home in London, and
Hmm.
it's absolutely full of artifacts that he brought back from his travels. So for Colin, we had cabinets of curiosity along the back wall, which were filled with
Right.
artifacts from ancient Greek and Rome, and then the shells either side, the shells and stones display either side of the fireplace.
And I love the bus. I love to, I mean, I don't know. Is your normal height for or around your normal height like 18 feet, 16 feet? Like how tall are your sets? They always seem very tall.
They are quite tall, because they're supposed to reflect the very large London villas that people used to own. Generally, the very upper class families would have a country estate, which is the seat of the family, but then they would also have a London villa,
Mhm.
basically, where they would spend part of the year in London, and then they'd go to the country estate and spend the rest of the time there. So the
Yeah.
rooms have to be of a scale that's fitting amongst our stately homes, because when we set the show up in season one, we knew that there'd be a lot of location work and using some of the best stately homes in our country, which have a certain scale to them, and we needed our built sets to blend
Yeah.
seamlessly with what we were shooting on location. So there is a certain scale to the rooms, which means that we don't have to use things like camera traps usually, because the spaces are quite large.
Nice.
So in terms of the height of the sets, I would say probably they're around 14 to 16 feet, the ceilings. Yeah.
Um, I also love, I took a lot of these shots from the Art Directors Guild presentation that you had put together, which I'm always
Hmm.
thankful. I always reference it. I love that everyone puts their work up there. I wish they would leave everyone's work up there for every year. But I do love seeing all of your mood boards also, and how in this process of your inspirations, the fabrics that are, wanting to
Mm.
use the styles and everything. I think it's so important that I use a couple of the designers I work with do use them, some don't, but they are tremendously helpful in bringing
Yeah.
everyone on board. This is what it is. This is the texture. This is,
Yeah.
the clutter. It's a more cluttered. Is it free? Everything like
Yeah.
that. I
It's
do.
the broad strokes. It's a very time efficient way of getting the broad strokes of the space across to, for example, your executives that you have to get the
Yeah.
approvals from before you can carry on with an idea. It's I find a mood board is it's definitely the way that I set about designing. I don't draw because it just takes too long for me to get the idea across, in a short space of time, because sometimes you've only got a week or so to do that.
Yeah.
So you have to be very quick about it. And the best way for me is to find lots of research source materials. If you have an idea for a space, you can sell it with a mood board.
Yeah.
Give examples of fabrics that you want to use, colors for the walls, bring in your little bits and pieces. You know, for example, this Collins apartment, we had images of cabinets of curiosity on there, and we had the colors on there. We had an idea. We've got the Regency pinstripe in the back. We've got the colors of the drapes to the side there, and it just really helps very quickly to bring together what the set is going to feel like, how it works. And then, of course, once you've got your mood board approved, you can carry on with a more, if you've got the time, of course, with a better concept of the space,
Yeah.
to further sell the idea. And that's how we tend to work. Excuse me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would I would say not until I looked at your mood boards did I then start to think about how many sculptures you have in the rooms and how much detail that you're putting, the reliefs that you have on the walls and everything. And
Yeah.
you're like custom making those, which is great because I
Yeah.
mean, clearance is one thing for something you're going to, rent or buy or whatever, but you're making a and then I started to look back at like all of the walls and the details up the stairway and like all of these grand details that you have on these walls is fantastic.
Yeah. We certainly pack the detail into the sets.
Yeah.
But I think that's the signature of the show, really. And I think it's what people love. We do hand make quite a lot of the period details because um, from a moldings point of view, it's very difficult to find moldings of the right scale
Right.
for the size of the rooms that we have. So we're quite lucky in the UK that we do have some period plasterworks companies that do the restoration in the big stately homes. And they do have a certain stock of elements that we can use, but often if there's something specific, like we're looking here, I think is that for the Modiste or is
Modest.
that Colin? I
It's
think
the
that's the new Modiste set actually for
yeah.
her wall panels. So as you can see, we had to commission a sculptor to sculpt the element that we then made and cast and added on to the details of those wall panels.
Yeah, which well there's your mood board, but then you can see them. You can see them on the walls.
Yeah,
They're just gorgeous. And then the
yeah,
painting and everything. Do you have extraordinary painters because
we do.
I think the tones that you select and the different rooms or everything, I'm sure they're creating they're creating just beautiful palettes there and then the enhancement of all of your moldings around them and then they have to go back and paint those and everything. They're really really spectacular to give the details on all of the walls.
Yeah, we've got an incredible set of construction painters who in the first instance, they'll paint the set according to our paint guides, but they'll also do things like marble
Marbles.
any panels on the walls or wood grain the doors. That's all paint effects. All the doors that you see, which look like they're flame mahogany, as we call it in the UK, it isn't. It's all paint effects.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Because and all the fireplaces are hand marbled. Um,
Oh, it's beautiful.
they're just so talented. It's amazing. You can show them, you give them the reference and say, that's exactly the marble that I would like to see on that particular panel of the fireplace. And off they go and do it. And it's just a joy to work with people who are so skilled. And
Yeah.
then we have a separate team of props painters that work on all the furniture that we see. And the furniture is a mixture of original pieces where we can find them in the markets or the
Mm.
auctions. Sometimes we have to use reproduction pieces which come to us as just absolutely bare wood, and so they need hand painting to look like they're made of mahogany or cream and gilt or whatever the look of the pieces that we need. And then we have in-house upholsterers, drapesmen, who
Well,
do the upholstery and make the curtains, the drapes for us as well. So yeah, it's just drawing all these different talented people together in the teams and putting it all together.
I'm so old at this point. I remember doing furniture and then they started to do HD and I was
Mm,
like, uh-oh, we can't
yeah.
we can't rent that piece anymore.
Or like,
Yeah,
the Sharpie marker is not going to do it anymore. We gotta, but I mean,
yeah,
all of the furniture on this looks new and which is, sometimes you want to look that I want an antique piece, but it can't look new, but you need everything to look new. It's really a feat too
yeah.
to polish all that up and stain it. I'm sure you guys are staining. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, we're pulling all the tricks out of the book. We're hand gilding, we're wood graining, we're marbling, we're just doing, anything that we need to do to give it the right look.
yeah,
Um, and we have three big prop stores in house as well, which we've built up over the 3-4 seasons now. It's full of furniture, which again it gets recycled and repurposed.
right.
Um, we have our standing sets. We try to reuse what we have in stock as much as we can because obviously it helps with the bottom line, it helps with the budget. Um, and if we need a particular piece and if we can't find it to buy it, then we have to make it
Yeah.
if it's important enough. Yeah. So yeah, we employ props makers, we employ all sorts of different people to just achieve what we need. Yeah.
How much was the modiste, is I saying that correctly, with the most fun set you did? I mean, it's such a fun
Uh,
place and it's
yeah, the Modiste was an amazing set to do actually because the storyline was that the Modiste was moving, she was upgrading, she
hmm
was doing very, very well with her business, and so she could afford a bit more salubrious accommodations for her shop. So it was really fun actually to redesign that space. It caused us a few problems though because we had the base color of the sort of the peacock teal blue, and
yeah.
then in the middle, as you're looking at that image there, the back windows is the main shop area, and then behind the arch, the first arch, you have the sort of the dressing area where the clients would try on the clothes. And that space, I had just a vision of having festoon voiles,
Yeah.
but they had to be a particular. I can remember I gave the set deck Sue such a hard time over the fabric because she kept coming up with this one or that one, and it just wasn't see through enough. And I just really, really wanted to make sure that we could see the pink of the fabric and the deeper pink of where it folded on top of each other, but I needed to see that blue underneath it. It had to shine through. And so it took quite a lot of searching to find that particular chiffon that would do that job for us.
It's a
Yeah.
spectacular look to the room because you've given so much texture by applying this on top of your deep blue-green walls.
Mm.
It's so gorgeous. It's
It's
like,
lovely. And it
oh,
just catches the light so well. It
oh
films
yeah.
so beautifully, and if you can get your textures right and catch the light, then you're giving the DOP something really beautiful to light beautifully. So, the magic starts to happen as the different departments kind of come into play. It's just a joy to watch it all unfold, really.
Oh, I just love this set. It's so fun and the scenes in there are always good, but I love this set. I love all the textures. I love all the
Mm.
details of the seamstress, and it's
Yeah.
really
Oh,
gorgeous.
it's just beautiful, isn't it? They did
Mm.
the first shot they did in there was I just was so pleased with it because they started right at the back in the workroom with the table full of all the accoutrements of the dressmaker, and they zoomed right in. It was just one of those beautiful long shots that just worked so wonderfully well and sort of showcased everything that we'd given in the set because occasionally it can be a bit heartbreaking when
Oh,
something doesn't make the cut and you've put your heart and soul into something, and it's on the edit room floor in the end. But I guess that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it?
I think with this show, the sets are such a character and showing the wealth and everything. They do keep a lot of wides. So I think they
They
always
do.
they do, which is really nice. Or like, you know, a lot of times you start with your wide, you go closer, but then, you know, when they're dancing or whatever, they go back to these gorgeous wides. So yeah,
Yeah,
I, I,
yeah.
I
There's
really
always room for a few more wides, though, in
always,
my book.
always. I always tell my DP, keep it wide, keep it
Yeah.
wide, or keep it tight. This one's not too good. Keep it tight. Don't look over there. Don't look over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think it's part of the signature look of the show, though, isn't it? Those beautiful wide open spaces, or, you know, the wide of a ball, the spectacular interior of a ball, or whatever it is. It's, you know, it's. I think it's what people watch Bridgerton for. It's the costumes working. I mean, we do work very closely with the costume department, actually,
yeah,
to achieve an overall look. We have to make sure that whatever the characters are being dressed in is going to work with what we're providing as a background. So we have lots of meetings with the costume team, and we all talk about colours and textures, and we look at their fabrics, and we go down to their making workshop, and they show us the racks of every character's costumes, and we do collaborate heavily with them to make sure that we're doing something that's showcasing their wonderful costume work.
it's definitely a dream project for a lot of departments. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, the sets are great. Oh, the costumes are great. But this, like the hair, the makeup, and
Yeah,
the costumes and the sets all coming together are so fantastic in, you know, making the story and such characters on their own. Like you're dying to see what the queen's hair is going to look like in the next scene. I mean, it's
yeah,
like it's so
yeah,
crazy. But yeah, I would have that was one of my questions too about the collaboration with costumes because sometimes they're so vibrant. Like look in Colin's drawing room here, we have, you know, I don't like her. But we got she's in a gorgeous
Cressida.
she's in this gorgeous pink, you know, outfit and it's she stands out so much. I think, you know, you know your characters by now, like what, you know, they're going to be bright, they're going to be subdued and everything, but
Mm,
you know, they're working against
yeah,
with the sets, not against the sets at all times. It's great.
yeah. I think one of the key places that really was very, very successful on season 3 was the Cowper home.
Hmm.
It's the first time that we had seen a very dark interior on Bridgerton, I think. Um, and you know, we're learning a little bit more about Cressida's character and where she comes from, why she's so horrible, because she comes from this very oppressive, male domineering background. Um, and so we sort of wanted to show that masculinity, and we knew that she would be costumed in pink because she always is, and it would be very pale and fluffy and pretty, and with her beautiful blonde, plaited, intricate hair. And we just wanted her to sort of feel like this caged bird in this very oppressive male environment. And I think we really achieved that. I loved all of the Cowper spaces last season. I think they worked really remarkably well.
Yeah, her nursery is beautiful and creepy at the same time.
Yeah,
It's really well
yeah,
achieved.
absolutely.
I really love when the mom's like, "What are you doing in here?" Like,
I
why do
love
you
the
still have
scene
the
where she's
nursery? I'm like, why do you still have it? Like, wouldn't you turn it into something? I mean, I don't
well, yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah, you know, these places were so big they probably didn't need all the rooms,
yeah,
but yeah,
they forgot about the nursery. They still have like
yeah,
now it's
yeah.
great. It's really great. And you're right, there is such a tone shift in when they go to her home in your sets. It is oh, it's great.
Well, it was written into the script. Jess wrote it in that, you know, that there's a line in there where Eloise comes to visit, and you know they're in the drawing room, and the walls are lined floor to ceiling with very, very tall bookshelves. She's not
Mhm.
allowed to touch any of the books. She is not allowed to take a book down and read. And so, you know, she's surrounded by all this knowledge, and she isn't allowed it because she's a woman. She has to get married and save the family, you know, integrity by doing the right thing. That's what the show is all about, the marriage mark. And I think, you know, touching on the sort of the women's ideal, you know, the story of women at the time, it's relevant to today, and I think that's partly why the show is still so successful, because it touches us all down the years, down hundreds of years, and it's still relevant. The storylines are very relevant to
Yeah.
what's happening in the world today.
Yeah, it's timeless. Brush
Yeah,
it
I
away,
think
it's
so.
timeless. For
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say with Shondaland, I think that there's a breakthrough there. I mean, she has done so much for, you know, the coordination and bringing the female voice out there. Um,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah. Again, I love seeing your mood board here for the nursery and the cage bird that you reference. Like
Yeah.
even as a decorator, just seeing like, oh, cage bird, like I get it. Like then in propping and looking for things, like you just start this story in your head and you just go with it. And when you look
Yeah.
at the pieces that were chosen, they're, you know, it goes all along with your theme that you're trying to convey here, and it's beautiful. Just
Yeah,
beautiful.
we had a cupboard actually in her bedroom. I don't think it was to the right of the windows, and it was full of very, very creepy period dolls that you never really see.
Mm,
But it kind of all adds up to an atmosphere and a space. And I do believe that if you get the spaces right, when the actors walk into those spaces, they give the performance of a lifetime because they're really feeling it, you
yeah.
know, and they do notice all the tiny details that you put in. So it's very gratifying when they walk into a space and they are just, you know, blown away by what you've achieved for them to be able to enhance their performance in the space.
Yeah.
Again, it's a symbiosis that works really well.
It's always a compliment when, you know, things are noticed by the actor. Even DP, like anything when it's noticed and the effort that you've put into it is you know, it's a fantastic
Absolutely.
collaboration. Otherwise they just think little elves come in and do it all while they're sleeping and no one, I mean, definitely
Yeah.
had many more actors come in and not say anything than say something, but you know,
Well, you know, you take the wins where you get them.
yeah, win's a win. I'll take it. Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk too about the Queen's Ball, which is
Hmm.
the rendering here is fantastic with the theater boxes and the dance floor and um what was your and the red, which I think is so great that you have here. What was your
Yep.
concept and everything for this Queen's Ball?
So the Queen's Ball, she is throwing a ball, and she's putting on a ballet for her ball goers. And so we kind of thought, well, how would the Queen throw a ball? You know, in the sense of how would she display a ballet, which was, you know, quite to put on a piece of dance would have been quite an innovative thing to do at the time. And I just thought, well, actually, she might make her ballroom into a kind of a theatre, really. And
Mm,
so we came up with the concept of putting the Queen on her raised sort of royal box overlooking the dance floor, and then we filled the walls with lesser boxes around the room, like a theatre space, and then the stage is the floor in the middle. And yeah, that was the concept for that. And the dance was Eros and Psyche, so going back to the ancient Greek sort of mythology, and you know, the story of love, and we sort of created a bit of a Greek temple theme for the floor and the ballroom and the dance space, and it just, yeah, it all hung together really well. Red is a color which we tend to reserve really only for the Queen. We use very little red,
yeah.
judiciously here and there, but by and large it is a queenly color in our world, red and gold. So yeah.
I do love in the backdrops of these boxes that you created and the drapery that frames them. But then your wallpaper is that hand drawn? Is that printed? What's it's like a curtain
Yeah.
beyond the like a dimensional piece beyond the box.
Yes. Yeah. So we had a scenic artist, one of our scenic artists who's hugely so gifted. He came in and painted up a backing for the back of the theatre boxes that would look like the theatre extended beyond the box.
Right.
So through the curtains into the rest of the theatre, I suppose, which is how they actually would have looked in the theatre as well. And then once we had the original painting, we scanned it and printed it and replicated it around the room in all the boxes. We do that quite a lot on Bridgerton, actually. We have a piece commissioned in painting, and then we often scan and replicate and use a sort of a cut and paste around the set then.
What is your like something like the Queen's Ball? Do you have all of the do you have the arc of the season? Do you have scripts? Do you get like, hey, the next like how much lead time are you getting to put up this ball? Because I know
So,
I know
I mean,
it could be a week and we all get it done, but like are you getting some sort of like heads up?
yeah, the balls in particular, we have to know quite far in advance actually, because the rooms are so huge to build, and we do generally season three we did do some balls on location actually. I think two of them, the Innovations Ball and the Full Moon Ball, but the others we built, and we built them on the stages while we're shooting, you know, other
Right.
sets on the same stage for season three. So we we need really 10 to 12 weeks to turn a ball around from one thing into another. There's often quite a lot of construction to do. So first of all, we have to strip everything out. And then the construction team go in. We have to have, if there's a theme to the ball, we have to come up with a concept, get it approved. Then we start the design process, the drawing process. The art directors team get busy. They do all the technical drawings. The construction team come in, start the building work. And in the meantime, the set decoration team come in and start, getting together the florals and the furniture and the food and all the other elements. So to do a ball from start to finish is about a 12-week process for us, which sounds like a really long time, but actually it really isn't.
No.
Considering each phase needs its time to because they're very big spaces and they're quite detailed, and they take a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is like the knowledge of knowing that this is coming up and then getting the ball rolling. But
Yeah,
you have many balls rolling at the same time. I mean, it's not like
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not
it's not just the one ball that you're working on. You're probably working on, 6, 7, 8 different sets all at the same time.
yeah.
They just take a bit longer than the other spaces to turn around. I think just for the sheer size of them, actually, and because you always have to accommodate usually the Queen. The Queen has to be elevated in some form, so she needs some kind of a platform to be on. You have to build that in.
Right.
Then you have all your dancers. You have to have a free
Choreography.
area. Yeah, and then all of the
Therefore.
extras, and then your food and drink tables. And so it's a bit of a jigsaw, kind of fitting all the elements in that you need to fit in to accommodate the action that needs to happen.
Are you using candles? Like are you using real candles or are they fake candles? Because I know candles are really good. I mean, they've become really good, just like florals.
Mm,
But a lot of times I'm always looking, I'm like, are those real candles they have? Because, fire
yeah,
ardent and all that, but yeah.
it depends where we are. So if we're in our stages, often the sets are lit with real candles.
Wow.
If we are on location, we can hardly ever use real candles, and
Yeah.
so we have to use the best available fake candles that we can,
Yeah.
battery packs, and then VFX go in and afterwards, and they have to enhance those to make them look like they're real candles. So it's not a small thing to do, should we
No.
say?
No. I mean, I know the days of like getting triple wicks and like, getting it super bright. And but then you buy like 80 wicks for like this one close up because you gotta make sure that it lasts and they're all the same height and candles can be not so
Oh, they're a
fun.
process, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're a bit of a nightmare for the standby art
Yeah.
direction team and the
Yeah.
props team
The
because,
on-set dressers always like,
yeah,
how many did you get? Like, so
and it's usually not enough. But I mean, I don't know what the candles budget is on the show, but it's enormous. We get through absolutely hundreds of the things.
oh my goodness. Did you have a particular set this season 3 that was just complete joy, like complete, like start to finish, like designing it, seeing it, on the screen.
I mean, there's just so many. There's a few favorites. I love the Cowper's faces. I love the Botanical Ball. I love the Modiste. What else? I actually really, really loved Kate and Anthony's apartments in the Bridgerton house as well. Although we hardly saw them, they were supposed to be filmed a lot more than they ended up being filmed because of script changes last minute. That's another thing that you have to accommodate. Um, but they were so beautiful, and the blend of Kate and Anthony and the hints of India that we put in there, very subtle, but just in the color palettes and the dressings and the trimmings on the drapes had an Indian influence to them.
The
I thought
drapery
that,
on the show is unbelievable. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you had so many sets. I know it's hard to choose from, but they're so beautiful. It's always, you're living in beauty at all times. It's fantastic.
It is.
So
We're
great.
spoilt, really. And the butterfly ball at the end, of course. I mean,
Oh,
that was quite spectacular. I remember, painting that for the first time because the showrunner Jess, she had a vision. She wanted purple and orange for them, and at first I was like, "Oh, really? Wow, that's going to be very bold." And we painted it, and everybody who walked in was like, "Oh my goodness, are you sure? This is really wild." But actually,
I think it worked
what I
beautifully.
like about that space, we see it in the daylight when the sisters go and have a look before
Yeah.
the actual ball. So we see it in all its very vibrant, gory nature. And then, obviously, for the ball, it's all dark and candle lit, and it's nighttime. And it really highlights the difference in the lighting states and how colours have to be sort of overstated
Yeah.
for the nighttime scene so that they read as what they're supposed to, because otherwise they would just look very plain and dull and very samey. So you kind of have to over egg the pudding sometimes a little bit.
Yeah, I do love how there's such boldness in your color choices, in the wardrobe. Like it makes it's so vibrant sometimes when you're looking at their lives, which I don't
Mm.
think I don't think of that time as that. But the seeing it with such vibrant colors and them living is so beautiful. I love
But
it.
if you look at the original source material, for example, Robert Adams, who was one of the most prolific architects, sort of interiors of the time, you look at his original paintings for his ceiling schemes, they are incredibly colourful and incredibly vibrant. So we're not really doing anything that wasn't done at the time.
Hmm.
I mean, we might be playing with the colour a little bit, but by and large, actually, we are using heritage colours that were there at the time. They weren't shy of using very vibrant colour. I think we have, looking back at the past and back to Georgian times, we tend to have our sort of brown tinted goggles on.
Right.
And it wasn't like that really. If you go to somewhere like Brighton Pavilion in Brighton, the Prince Regent built a palace, and it is so incredibly bright. It's mind blowing, actually. Beautiful place.
Don't you love doing all the research? So I tell
Yeah,
the
it's
research
it's
is
just incredible.
so amazing, the things that we get to learn and become experts on, and oh, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's just a real privilege. Actually, it's a
You know,
joy.
I didn't start off the conversation saying congratulations, which was very rude.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So happy that the work is being recognized, and I love it. I know so many people who watch Bridgerton, and we always talk about, like, did you see that ball? Like, it becomes part of the conversation of, like, what ball could they do next, and what will the design be, and everything. So we have a lot of people talking about your sets. So congratulations on the nominations. So well deserved.
Oh, thank you. I mean, on behalf of the team, because it's a massive team effort. The team are just so dedicated and so talented, and you need every single person that's on the team to be able to bring their A game, to put all of this magical stuff together and onto the screen for people to enjoy. It's a real pleasure.
just fascinating, right? I mean, I love hearing how the concepts come together, from the writers to designing to the timelines to the creation. There are some great photos I have in this YouTube video, so I hope that you check it out and we speak about them in depth, you know? So good luck to her. Good luck to everyone nominated for the Emmys. Good luck, good luck. We have voting, which started yesterday on the 18th and goes till the 27th, so next Wednesday. I will be back next week with another episode. And I'm telling you, go out there and vote. Just go out and vote. So please like, subscribe, follow, rate, whatever. You know I hate begging for this shit. So, but I feel like I never remember to say all this, so I try to remember to say it. Again, thanks for listening. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wannop for Decorating Pages.